ice cream feels harmless, sweet, creamy, and nostalgic. But for seniors, even a scoop can hide risks. From hidden sugars and excessive sodium to recalls for listeria or mold contamination, the dangers are often invisible. Today, we're revealing ice cream brands that could harm your health, and the two that are genuinely safe for older adults to enjoy without worry. Kicking off at number 10, Bluebell, once a beloved Southern staple, now a chilling cautionary scoop. This is the brand that sold nostalgia in a tub, the kind of ice cream that made you think of front porches, summer evenings, and family gatherings. But that rosy picture cracked when the FDA stepped in. Recalls linked Bluebell to listeria outbreaks across multiple states. Suddenly, that innocent scoop carried the weight of a hospital stay. Sweet? Yes. Safe? Number. The pint looks harmless, perfectly frozen and smooth under the lid. But tests showed bacterial hitchhikers clinging to every bite. Listeria isn't some distant threat, it's the kind of bacteria that thrives even in cold freezers. A whistleblower revealed that inspections found bacteria hiding in sealed containers, proof that the problem wasn't just sloppy storage at a grocery store. It was baked into the production process itself. For most people, that's alarming, but for seniors, it's dangerous. Listeria can hit anyone, but older adults with weaker immune systems or those on heart medications face the worst outcomes. We're talking about fevers that spiral into confusion, infections that spread fast, and hospitalizations that can be life-threatening. Think of it like this. One spoonful of comfort food could be the trigger for days in the ICU. That scoop comes with hospital risk. But here's the real shocker. Bluebell didn't just have a single slip-up. In 2015, the company had to recall every single product from shelves nationwide after contamination was confirmed in multiple factories. The CDC tied at least 10 hospitalizations and 3 deaths to those tainted pints. 3 lives ended from what should have been a harmless dessert. Still want that old-fashioned goodness slogan stamped on your tongue? And let's not forget the nutritional trap. A half cup of Bluebell homemade vanilla loads you with around 20 grams of sugar and 150 calories. Sounds small, until you realize that most people scoop at least double that into a bowl. Suddenly, you're looking at more sugar than a glazed donut and more calories than a cheeseburger slider. For seniors managing diabetes, blood pressure, or kidney function, that's not dessert, it's dietary sabotage. So what's the fix if you're craving vanilla comfort? Swap to smaller batch, tested local creameries, or stick to brands that use certified pathogen checks and clearer labeling. Even a simple fruit sorbet made at home can give you sweetness without the bacterial baggage. This homegrown classic turned into a bacteria buffet. And if recalls don't scare you, the so-called premium brand hides another trick. Sliding into number 9, agen-Dazs, the brand that promises indulgence, but sometimes serves hidden hazards. The gold-trimmed tub and sleek branding scream luxury, like you're treating yourself to a safe little splurge. But beneath that silky swirl are problems that premium packaging can't cover. Luxury label, risky load. Some batches of agen-Dazs were actually recalled for undeclared allergens. Picture this. You're lactose sensitive or allergic to nuts, you trust the label, and then suddenly you're in the ER with hives and breathing problems because an ingredient slipped past. Reports even flagged chemical preservatives hidden in certain flavors. That's not indulgence, it's interference. And here's the kicker. While marketed as pure, a single half-cup serving of flavors like caramel cone can dump over 23 grams of sugar into your system. That's nearly 6 teaspoons in what's supposed to be a modest scoop. Many flavors carry 90 milligrams of sodium per serving too. Doesn't sound high? Double the portion, and suddenly your dessert is delivering more sodium than a small bag of potato chips. Creamy cover, salty core. That silky spoonful that melts on your tongue can leave behind a chemical sting and a salty aftertaste that doesn't belong in ice cream. Former employees on food safety boards joked that agen-Dazs was the champagne of ice creams, until you read the fine print. For seniors balancing blood pressure meds or trying to manage diabetes, those sneaky numbers mean spikes that strain your system in minutes. Your heart, kidneys, and arteries pay the price while your taste buds feel pampered. So why do premium brands still sneak in unsafe ingredients? Isn't it strange how even the best of the best still play the same hidden game? Whether it's undeclared allergens, sneaky sodium, or extra sugar, it proves one point. The label doesn't guarantee safety. Let's get practical. If you want indulgence without the chemical baggage, there are better picks. Brands offering certified organic low-sugar options like Strauss Family Creamery or small-batch gelatos deliver rich flavor without risking your health. Or keep it simple. Freeze blended bananas with a splash of cocoa powder and get that creamy texture at home with no hidden traps. You're not eating elegance, you're swallowing additives. Most people never notice which ice creams can quietly impact their health, but we'll break it down at the end of the video. From gilded tubs to groovy flavors, the next brand sweetens the trap. At number 8, Ben & Jerry's playful names, not so playful risks. The funky tubs, cow cartoons, and groovy flavor names look harmless. They sell you on natural and progressive, but inside that pint is trouble your body won't find so quirky. Natural? Not really. Take a hard look at the label. A single serving of favorites like half-baked or fish food dumps 30 to 40 grams of sugar into your system. That's more than 10 teaspoons in half a cup. And let's be honest, who stops at half a cup? Eat half a pint and you're downing close to 80 grams. That's nearly double the daily sugar cap the American Heart Association sets for men, and more than triple for women. Your pancreas waves a white flag before you hit the bottom of the tub. Chunky trouble. But sugar isn't the only problem. Some batches have been flagged for artificial stabilizers that give those chunky swirls their hold. Sounds harmless, until you realize those same stabilizers can cause digestive distress and strain the kidneys. Seniors on medication for blood pressure or heart disease may be pushing their bodies into dangerous territory without knowing it. A creamy scoop turns into a health hazard in seconds. And let's talk about texture. That chunky swirl you love? When it melts, it doesn't dissolve. It turns syrupy, sticky, almost glue-like. Reports from consumer boards compared it to chewing sugar cement. The fun factor masks the fact that you're spooning up chemical engineering disguised as dessert. Ex-employees on food safety forums have admitted that marketing leans heavily on the words natural and caring. But the ingredient list tells a different story. One whistleblower even joked, "The cows on the label may be smiling, but your kidneys won't be." Ever wondered how fun flavors can wreck your health? This is how. Too much sugar means sudden spikes and crashes. For seniors, that's not just fatigue, it's dizziness, irregular heartbeat, or kidney stress. Pair it with blood pressure meds and you've got a dangerous cocktail in a colorful carton. Europe has stricter limits on certain food additives used in Ben & Jerry's flavors. What passes in US tubs is considered less safe overseas. Safer in Europe isn't just a slogan, it's reality. So much for that all-American treat. Want a safer indulgence? Try making a banana-based ice cream at home. Just freeze ripe bananas, blend with cocoa, and you get sweetness, creaminess, and none of the hidden chemical baggage. Or choose certified organic pints from smaller producers that keep ingredient lists short and real. That cow on the label? It's laughing at your pancreas. Isn't it strange how even premium ice creams with a trusted label can still hide harmful ingredients? And if you thought quirky names were safe, the next natural choice hides a greasy lie. Coming in at number 7, Breyers, the all-natural brand that wasn't so natural after all. For decades, Breyers has pushed the image of purity, simplicity, and old-fashioned cream. The black carton with fresh strawberries or vanilla beans practically shouts honesty. But peel back that label and you'll see a different story. Natural illusion. Whistleblowers in food forums have pointed out inconsistencies in labeling. Some tubs stamped all natural still contained additives and stabilizers that don't belong in that claim. Even worse, certain light options that seniors reach for to cut calories carried hidden trans fats. Light? Heavy on risk. Here's where it gets ugly. That light vanilla you think is heart-friendly can actually raise LDL cholesterol, clog arteries, and push blood pressure into the danger zone. For seniors on statins or blood pressure meds, that's a recipe for dizziness, chest pain, or worse. It's not just dessert, it's a health gamble in a glossy carton. And the texture tells on them. Scoop into a light Breyers, and it doesn't melt into creamy softness. It breaks down into a slick, oily puddle that coats your spoon like grease. One food tester even compared it to melting margarine. That's not cream, that's chemistry pretending to be dessert. Some Breyers flavors push sodium levels that rival a bag of salty chips. Who expects sodium in ice cream? Seniors with kidney strain or heart issues definitely don't. Yet the numbers are right there if you squint at the fine print. More sodium than your entire day's safe limit in just a couple of scoops. Consumer boards have dragged the brand for this bait and switch. And while Breyers markets itself as a family-friendly back-to-basics choice, the reality is that natural doesn't always mean safe. It's branding smoke and mirrors. Ever thought that the healthier option could be the more dangerous one? This is exactly that case. Seniors trying to do right by their diet may actually be hurting their bodies faster with every spoonful. So if you want vanilla that won't sabotage your cholesterol, go with certified organic brands that list only cream, sugar, and vanilla. Or make a simple blend at home, frozen milk, a touch of honey, and real vanilla extract. 3 ingredients, no oily puddle. Want to stay ahead of hidden food dangers? Hit subscribe now so you never get blindsided by what's actually in your frozen treats. Number 6 brings us Edy's, also called Breyers, depending on where you shop. Two names, one problem. The label screams family-friendly and classic, but the truth hiding under the lid is anything but comforting. Reports have flagged batches of Edie's and Breyers for contamination recalls, tied to potential listeria and other bacterial risks. A creamy spoonful that leaves a bitter chemical sting doesn't sound like the summer treat you grew up with. Yet, that's what customers described after biting into tubs loaded with preservatives and additives. Creamy cover, chemical kick. Per serving, some flavors creep past 100 milligrams of sodium. Ice cream is supposed to be sweet, not salty, more sodium than a handful of pretzels in a dessert. For seniors on blood pressure or kidney meds, that's not just strange, that's dangerous. Hidden sodium stresses kidneys, raises blood pressure, and leaves the heart working overtime. An ex-line worker admitted on a food forum that consistency comes from stabilizers, not milk. That says it all. What's marketed as wholesome ends up being chemistry shaped into scoops. And once you taste it, that silky texture can quickly break down into a flat, chemical aftertaste that lingers like bitter medicine. Ever notice how these slow-churned tubs melt differently? They don't fade into creamy pools. They collapse into a gummy, clumpy mess that sticks to the spoon like paste. That's not grandma's ice cream. That's lab design. Isn't it strange how a trusted brand with decades of sales still sneaks in additives your doctor would tell you to avoid? It's almost as if the heritage branding works harder than the actual recipe. So what can you do instead? If you want that simple vanilla or chocolate hit without the chemical sting, check out local creameries or organic labels with short, clean ingredient lists. You'll taste the difference. No extra sodium, no mystery stabilizers, just cream, sugar, flavor, and peace of mind. That familiar tub could send you running for antacids, but nothing sours the stomach faster than the next brand's bacterial surprise. At number 5, we hit Friendly's, the brand that somehow turned friendly into frightening. For decades, Friendly's was the name tied to summer Sundays, family diners, and scoops stacked high with nostalgia. But pull back the cheery label, and the truth is colder than the freezer aisle. That sundae dripping with creamy sweetness. It has carried more than sprinkles and syrup. Invisible bacteria colonies building up inside tubs that look perfectly safe on the outside. Comfort food with consequences. In several cases, listeria was the threat hiding inside. For seniors or anyone with weaker immunity, listeria isn't just a tummy ache. It can cause fever, cramps, and in the worst cases, hospitalization. One former staff worker posted online, "The freezers weren't checked as often as they should be." That tiny slip turned into a recipe for disaster. Friend or foe? That's the question you're left asking when a brand trades safety for speed. Friendly's sells joy and nostalgia, yet its sweet scoops have carried invisible dangers. Strange how something calling itself family-friendly can turn on the very families it's meant to serve. Now, let's talk about what's inside the carton, even when it passes storage checks. Sodium and sugar sneak into those fun flavors in ways most buyers never notice. One serving can hold more than 200 milligrams of sodium, plus over 25 grams of sugar. That's enough to spike blood pressure and strain kidneys, especially in seniors balancing daily meds. That cone could comfort you straight into the ER. Ever noticed how a Friendly's sundae looks glossy under the lights? That shine doesn't come just from cream. Stabilizers and additives pump the mix into a thicker, slicker texture, but they also bring digestive risks. Customers have described aftertastes that hit bitter, almost metallic. It's ice cream that leaves your stomach doing flips instead of smiles. So what's the safer fix? If you still crave that old-school sundae, your best bet is a local shop or small creamery that rotates batches daily. Fresh scoops, no weeks of storage, no hidden colonies. The difference between something made clean today and something that's been sitting in a warehouse freezer for weeks could be your health. That cone could comfort you straight into the ER. Bacteria was just the appetizer. Now we're serving mold for dessert. Sliding into number 4, we've got Kemps, creamy texture on the outside, moldy secrets on the inside. This Midwestern classic markets itself as farm fresh and wholesome, but the cartons have carried more than cream. Cream gone wrong. That smooth vanilla you think will melt sweet on your tongue? Reports described it with a sour, musty undertone. Mold doesn't scream out with neon signs. It hides in the shadows, shifting the taste just enough to feel off but not enough for everyone to notice. You won't believe what's lurking inside. Mold isn't just gross, it's dangerous. For seniors, it can trigger breathing problems, digestive flare-ups, and nasty interactions with blood pressure or kidney meds. A pint with over 200 milligrams of sodium only worsens the blow, raising risks of fluid retention and strain on the heart. Spoiled scoop. Mold contamination in ice cream isn't always obvious. One former warehouse worker shared online that cartons sometimes sat through repeated thaw and freeze cycles during shipping delays. That means moisture pockets formed inside the tub, perfect breeding grounds for mold spores to flourish while the outside still looked glossy and fresh. That carton may taste fresh, but it smells like negligence. Why do ice cream brands keep recalling products and still sell everywhere? Because volume wins. Kemps is owned by Dairy Farmers of America, a giant co-op with nationwide reach. They push product into every freezer aisle, even if storage practices are questionable. Safety takes a back seat to shelf space. And if the mold wasn't enough, let's talk sodium. Some Kemps-flavored pints carry more sodium than a slice of pizza. More sodium than your entire day's limit, in just a few spoonfuls. Seniors managing high blood pressure meds can feel their heart racing after just one bowl. It's ice cream that spikes numbers you don't want to see. So what's the safer fix? If you crave vanilla, try smaller regional creameries or European brands that follow stricter mold prevention and sodium guidelines. Products in Europe face tougher storage and testing standards, safer in Europe, but risky here. Or better yet, make a quick batch at home. Cream, sugar, and a splash of vanilla extract. No hidden mold, no sour surprise. That carton may taste fresh, but it smells like negligence. Why do you think some ice cream companies keep having recalls, yet their products stay on every store shelf? If mold doesn't churn your stomach, wait until you hear about allergens in the next pint. Number 3. Turkey Hill, the family brand, hiding family-sized risks. The label smiles with rolling fields and barns, promising simple country comfort. But behind that friendly picture, the authorities flagged Turkey Hill for undeclared allergens in multiple batches. Wholesome myth. Allergens aren't some minor slip. For people with nut, soy, or milk sensitivities, it can mean sudden hives, stomach pain, or even a hospital trip. And the scariest part? Customers were never told until recalls hit the news. That's not just sloppy, it's dangerous. Pastel poison. Then there's the coloring. Those playful pinks and pastel swirls. They don't come from fruit. They come from artificial dyes, the same ones flagged in Europe for safety concerns. Safer in Europe, but sold casually here. That pastel swirl leaves a chemical afterburn, more like licking a crayon than enjoying strawberries and cream. And the numbers don't help. A single serving packs 120 to 150 milligrams of sodium. Add the sugar spike, and you're staring at a dessert that overloads both your kidneys and your blood pressure in just a few spoonfuls. For seniors on meds, that's flirting with dizziness, swelling, or worse. That smiling label hides allergic landmines. Turkey Hill markets itself as the neighborhood brand, made for families and shared in giant tubs. Yet multiple whistleblowers have said online that ingredients were sometimes swapped mid-production to save costs, even when labels didn't change. A staff forum joked, "The flavor changes, but the label stays." That's not neighborly. That's negligence. Ever wondered how fun flavors can wreck your health? The answer is right here. High sodium, hidden allergens, and artificial colors, all wrapped up in a package that calls itself wholesome. Comfort food with consequences. That rainbow sherbet? It melts into a gummy sludge that coats your mouth with chemical steam. Not fruity, not fresh, just sticky residue that lingers long after the bowl is empty. Your body knows it's not real food. It reacts with bloating, spikes in blood sugar, and sudden pressure changes that no one wants. So what's the fix? Stick to brands that clearly label every ingredient, or better yet, grab dye-free options from smaller creameries. Even a quick homemade frozen yogurt, plain Greek yogurt, honey, and berries will leave you feeling full without the pastel poison. That smiling label hides allergic landmines. Don't go yet. The solution comes at the very end, and it could change the way you pick ice cream forever. At number 2, Nestle Drumstick, fun on the outside, rotten underneath. The commercials sell that perfect crunch, chocolate shell, and soft vanilla core. It looks like childhood summers in a cone. But the truth is uglier. Cone of concern. The FDA recalled drumsticks after bacterial contamination was found in production plants. That crispy cone crunch masks a sour, spoiled core. People expected a frozen treat, but what they really got was a bacterial lottery ticket. Some batches even tested positive for listeria, a bacteria especially dangerous for seniors with weak immunity, heart issues, or kidney strain. And the sugar? Each cone hits with more than 20 grams, sometimes creeping past 25. That's nearly your entire daily recommended limit in one sitting. For diabetics or anyone on blood pressure meds, that's not dessert. It's a glucose grenade. Crispy shell, sickly core. But here's the real shocker. These cones are marketed as portion-controlled. Small size, less risk, right? Wrong. That neat little cone packs the sugar load of a full candy bar. and sodium levels pushing 100 milligrams. Your pancreas doesn't care that it's wrapped in chocolate. It just sees a spike big enough to send seniors into dizzy spells. A whistleblower once wrote online that cleaning procedures were rushed in the Nestle plants to keep cones on shelves, corners cut for profit, even when contamination risks were staring them in the face. That crunch is hiding contamination. That chocolate shell, it leaves a waxy film on your tongue like licking a candle. The ice cream underneath melts into a sticky sludge that coats your throat, far from refreshing. Your stomach reacts the same way, queasy, unsettled, and gassy. Comfort food with consequences. Ever bitten into something that looked fine but tasted spoiled halfway through? That's the drumstick experience when bacteria slip past the shell. And it's not just gross, it's dangerous. Listeria can cause fevers, stomach cramps, or worse, especially for older adults on medications. So what's the fix? Skip the packaged cone. Make your own with plain sugar-free cones and a scoop of real vanilla ice cream from a trusted local creamery. Even frozen Greek yogurt with a drizzle of dark chocolate will give you the crunch without the crash. That crunch is hiding contamination. And topping the list, the nostalgic favorite that aged badly. Finally, number 1. Klondike bars, the frozen nostalgia trap. For decades, the ads asked, "What would you do for a Klondike bar?" The real question is, what would you risk? Nostalgia with a cost. The betrayal is in the details. Klondike promises creamy centers wrapped in a smooth chocolate shell, but improper storage in grocery freezers has left plenty of bars with that greasy bloom, white streaks that mean the chocolate's broken down, and those simple treats, they're loaded with chemical stabilizers, synthetic flavors, and additives that don't melt, they smear. Cool treat, hot mess. Bite into one, and the shell flakes into a greasy, chemical-laced smear across your fingers. The vanilla inside doesn't taste fresh. It leaves a waxy film on your tongue, like licking a plastic spoon left in the sun. That isn't childhood comfort. That's a chemical cocktail in disguise. And let's talk numbers. One bar averages 250 calories, 14 grams of fat, and over 20 grams of sugar. That's more sugar than a glazed donut. Sodium runs close to 100 milligrams a bar. Seniors with blood pressure meds? That extra sodium can push numbers up fast. Add the sugar spike, and it's not dessert, it's a blood pressure roller coaster. A former employee on a staff forum admitted freezers weren't checked regularly in smaller distribution centers. Bars sat half-melted, then refroze, they wrote. That explains why some customers bite in and find soggy, gummy interiors that taste faintly sour. Frozen nostalgia turning rancid. Ever had a treat that left your stomach twisting instead of satisfied? That's what happens when stabilizers meet refrozen dairy. Seniors especially face risks here. Dizziness, heart palpitations, or medication interference when sugar and sodium crash together. And yet, the label smiles back, promising happiness. That's the betrayal. What they market as fun is really a risk wrapped in foil, pastel packaging, chemical payoff. So what's the safer move? Skip the freezer aisle blocks. Instead, try making your own with dark chocolate and a scoop of low-sugar vanilla frozen yogurt. Even small local brands without additives are safer than this mass-market bar. You get the crunch, the coolness, and none of the refreeze roulette. That bar is less comfort, more chemical cocktail, but not every brand is bad. Let's look at the ones actually worth your money. First safe pick, Talenti Gelato, proof that premium doesn't always mean poisoned. After 10 straight names that made your stomach turn, here's one that doesn't come with a recall notice stapled to the lid. Talenti built its name on the opposite of shortcuts. No mystery syrups, no synthetic stabilizers, no preservatives hiding in the fine print. Just natural ingredients you can read without a chemistry degree. Smooth, rich, and balanced, each pint actually tastes like the flavor on the label. Caramel tastes like caramel, not burned sugar and chemical perfume. Cream gone right? That's the shocker. In a market where one pint can pack more sugar than a can of soda, Talenti keeps it controlled. Most flavors land in the range of 12 to 16 grams of sugar per serving, compared to 20 or more in brands we just roasted. And sodium? Barely 40 milligrams in most flavors, light enough that seniors watching blood pressure can breathe easier. Here's the kicker. A food safety report that once criticized mass-market ice cream for additives pointed to brands like Talenti as the exception. That's not common in this industry. Ever tasted a spoonful and noticed the difference instantly? Talenti's texture isn't gummy or slimy, it's creamy, almost silky. It melts evenly on your tongue instead of coating your mouth like wax. It feels indulgent but not dangerous. But here's the real question. Would you swap one risky pint for a safer, tastier gelato? If you're on meds for diabetes or hypertension, this swap isn't just about taste. It's about control. A serving of Talenti won't spike your sugar like a Nestle Drumstick or blast your sodium like Kemps. Of course, nothing's perfect. it's still dessert. Eat the whole pint and you'll push over 700 calories. But compared to the chemical bombs we've listed, this one's a safer gamble. Want to keep it cleaner? Choose fruit-based flavors like Roman raspberry or Alfonso mango. They're dairy-free, lighter on fat, and still taste like real fruit instead of cough syrup. Pastel poison turned into actual flavor. Nostalgia traded for something pure. Premium finally means pure. This time, premium really means pure. And our final safe pick goes one step further. Dairy-free, without the dangers. Second safe pick, So Delicious, the dairy-free brand that lives up to its name. After a lineup of cones, bars, and pints dripping with bacteria, mold, and chemical sweeteners, this one comes as a genuine relief. Here's the promise. Frozen desserts made with coconut milk, almond milk, oat milk, or cashew milk. No dairy shortcuts, no preservatives hiding in the mix, no suspicious syrups. That's a big deal for seniors who struggle with lactose or for anyone on meds where dairy complicates absorption. One scoop feels light and creamy instead of heavy. Coconut milk versions have a smooth body with a refreshing finish, and almond milk flavors melt with a faint nutty taste. No waxy coating, no chemical steam, just a clean, balanced texture that doesn't fight your tongue. Cream gone wrong turned into cream done right. That's the real shocker. While some brands load each serving with 20 grams of sugar, So Delicious often keeps it closer to 12 or 13. Sodium, barely 35 milligrams per serving in many flavors. Compare that to the 120 milligrams in Turkey Hill or the 150 in Friendly's, and it's easy to see why this one is safer for blood pressure and kidney health. But here's the kicker. So Delicious hasn't been dragged into the same recalls that hit Nestle or Klondike. That's no accident. They build their products on organic, plant-based blends. Even in Europe, with stricter food rules, this brand would still make the cut. Another point worth noting, this brand is a lifesaver for anyone with dairy allergies. Undeclared allergens landed Turkey Hill and Bluebell in court. So Delicious, on the other hand, is transparent. Clear labeling, fewer hidden risks. That's the kind of trust most frozen treats don't earn. Of course, it's still dessert. Eat the whole pint and you'll pass 600 calories depending on the flavor, but at least you're not piling on preservatives or risking a bacterial surprise. If you want the safest bet, stick with their fruit-based coconut milk flavors. Mango, raspberry, or strawberry, they taste bright, natural, and clean. So what's the trade-off? Pay a little more, get a lot more peace of mind. And honestly, for seniors on heart meds or managing diabetes, that's worth every spoonful. This scoop is comfort without the catch. And with that, we've gone from the worst offenders to the rare exceptions, ice creams you can actually enjoy without checking for FDA recall alerts first. Not all ice cream is safe. Some can quietly harm your health. Subscribe now, and I'll show you which brands are truly safe, creamy, and worth enjoying every week.